The best thing about having my condo so close to the pub is the ease of access. As long as I can still stand and walk, I can make it home. Maybe I'd need help from a kind neighbor or two to help me with the last leg if I've ever really gone overboard on the alcohol. But I always make it home, sometimes with company. Of course, that always comes with complications, especially with the real clingy ones. But it isn't anything a good tip about stalkers to the building security can't fix. I'm always nervous, though, even if this isn't the first time I've done this. And the first few minutes when we enter my room are the first few agonizing minutes where I try not to panic. Okay, Mac, so far so good. Don't let him smell your fear under all that liquid courage. He'll leave sooner or later, and I'll never have to see him again, just like every other man before him. I'd like to say to myself that the men I've brought to my place were more scared than I was. Yet there was no fear when I look into Whiskey's eyes, only delight. When he starts touching me, I don't even hesitate when I push him against the door. Roughness is to be expected. And as long as he sticks to the script, everything will go smoothly. We'll have our little tumble in the sheets, he'll leave, we'll forget about it. If somebody asked what I really wanted, I would have told them that I wanted a bed of roses, chocolates, and music. Chocolates and milk. A bed of roses, chocolates, and music. Maybe in an Irish castle. But all I really want is her. That's never going to be a reality. That was my fault, of course. Because I was afraid. Because I was a coward. They would never hold a candle up to her. She was the light of my life. And I had to let her go. I can't even be bothered at the thought of her. Just the single thought of her makes my resolve to see this affair through wave.
Wait.
What is it now?
Yes, what is it now? What's it gonna be, Marianne? To sex or not to sex? This is wrong. Nothing, never mind.
I don't know what's worse, dude.
What do you mean, what's worse? You stop, or you keep going.
Stop.
We're both drunk.
Ah, he liked that.
And?
This is wrong. Don't you think it's a bit fucked up that we're about to have sex and we're just calling each other by the drinks that we had? How messed up are we?
Doll, shut up with the ethics and morality talk. It is seriously putting me out of the mood.
If you want to leave now, Whiskey, I understand. I mean, with how smashed you are, it'd probably be best for you to sleep the night unless you want to be mugged. But I won't stop you. And...
Bloody hell.
Cock blocked. That's great. Of course, he's annoyed at me for putting off our night of sexual congress. But no means no. And beyond spewing a few profanities under his breath, he surprisingly simmers down soon enough. I was worried for a moment that he might try to force something. Instead, he makes a show of fixing his suit and smoothing down his hair before making himself comfortable on the nearest seat he could find.
What are you doing then? You have a guest in your home. Put the damn kettle on. Dandelion tea if you have it. But I suppose all you have are those shitty tea bags from the store.
Rude. If it isn't for the absurdity of this turn of events, I would have flipped him off for thinking I have no taste. But in the end, I just laugh. All I got are cans of Korean ginseng and lemon balm, though. No dandelion. Without a second thought, I do wet the tea. That's 3 minutes to get the kettle to a boil. 3 minutes where we say nothing to each other. I mean, what do you even say to the guy I was going to sleep with until I changed my mind? I doubt he's in the mood to talk about the influence of Troy's on Mallory. It's still unusual by the time we're both seated on my bed with mugs of tea in hand.
Just so you know, whatever is going on right now is a lot stranger and fucked up than the one night stand.
We are two messed up individuals by your logic.
Everything is messed up, if you ask me. War, terrorism, famine, poverty, loved ones and loved lost. Oh, this whole world is a cesspool.
The dead air is telling when it fills the room once more. One would think that this is the perfect time to burst, to spill about whatever issues that made us the effed up person that we are today. And it is. But I guess some part of me would rather not put the weight of my problems on somebody else's shoulder. It wouldn't be fair to leave that to a person when I don't even know if we'll ever see each other again. Sooner rather than later, we both pass out on my bed, mugs left forgotten on the floor. They're dummy gargling. When I wake, whiskey is already gone. A bottle of painkillers and a note on the table are the only evidence that I wasn't alone last night. Thanks for the tea, Marianne. Whiskey. How dare you. I don't even question where these are from, or just how he knew my real name. I'm just grateful for something to help with the hangover. Might as well. I have a job to do. Saturday. It isn't often that I think about drinking on the job, but after meeting with the Wrights yesterday, it really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. Because first off, freaking dang whiskey was freaking dang Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde mansion yet when they hired me. What? What sort of person does that?
Ugh, rich people.
I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job, and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree, but I did so in the end. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. I'd have a headache, whatever I do anyway. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing after the pub. I have to go there anyway. I need more books. For Dad. Plus, I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I have nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either. So on a Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxburn to, hopefully, cool off. After returning an, whatever that is, in a poetry book by Henry of Podbrady, I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Dialogue with the Dead has already been snatched. She bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. I make headway at least when I ask about Siege and Rendition of Havana by Jacobo de Pezuela. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other except for myself and a redhead. Though I'd wager a guess that red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. That's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
It's not the naval battle book I was looking for. No, it's even better. The newly acquired History of Luxburn Architecture. First edition, too. I know I just have to get it. I have been waiting to get my hands on the book for so long. The fact that there is only one copy proves to be a problem, though, when Red reaches out for it the same time I do.
I think I had this first, miss.
I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raised an eyebrow at her in the hopes that the fact that I was significantly taller than her would intimidate the girl. Even then, she refused with a rebellious look.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
A beat. She blinks, and I can't help but smirk on my face, which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament. This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest, how many people would know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth in hushed tones, unless we want to be thrown out of the library. After a while, it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if I could call it that. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
By then, we had forgotten about our little tug of war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah, yes, Saint Goretti. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure. But it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things. Any big projects right now?
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at my mention of the house. I'm not surprised. That place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within the year, when what I have is just as functional? The traditional ways had a far more personal touch, in my opinion. Not to mention those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside, only to have their eyes glued to the things. And F touchscreens. They're evil little things that make typing, what should have been a simple task, harder.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking or thinking of the devil seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before standing up and excusing herself. Off farther into the aisle she goes for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her out.
Belle, is something wrong? Lunch at the coffee house? Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far. I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surrounding is, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of her conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to History of Luxburn Architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put a hand up and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from my bag along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it. But you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, pinning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing. My original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book. Our little pop quiz, if you can call it that, made the time pass by without any of us realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne. Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to be read here, and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, and rich clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Because Luke Wright just takes the effing cake. And he probably manages to eat it, too. Seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time, as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the minute I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything.
You did. Leave me alone.
But I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents. Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there is so many red tape to even acquire the forms in the transferring of rights? No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that even? There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. As it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. But it's always nice to read through it again, when I don't have the time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, you need the good old Marquis sound advice.
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation's Luxburn branch isn't too far off from the city center. Just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there'll be so much to do once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I'm quite certain that, in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do, despite how it is frowned upon. There will be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on the top of the list we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, but limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely. So, as long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always made sure the referrals kept coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself.